5 o'clock somewhere, and that means that it is time for Loud Poets Happy Hour. Welcome, everyone, to our vampire's nest, our minotaur's maze, our dragon's den, our tiny, tiny flats in Leith. It is Monster Week here on Happy Hour, and I am so excited for this episode. We're going to have so much fun, guys. If you are new to Loud Poets Happy Hour, this is a show where we take on writing challenges. We offer some guidance to you guys on how to write to them. We write new poems ourselves, and we chat about all of it on the show. So I am so psyched for this. I do not know what the rest of the team has written, so I'm vaguely terrified, which very much fits the theme. So guys, you can check out my 5 top tips on the challenge through the link in the eye on how to write poetry from the perspective of monsters. I really hope that you guys are writing along and that you're enjoying this one. And as always, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell icon so that you don't miss any more terrifying poetic goodness. I am joined this week by a terrifying, horrifying cast of creatures. First, it's the scaly, oozing Bex Sherwood. Bex, what are you drinking?
I went once again to the poetry bar and I ordered myself a lovely, refreshing Mimosa Grant. Cheers.
Oh.
Well done. Well done.
Delicious.
Next up, I am joined by the oddly feathery, seeping, and ghastly smelling Mark Gallie. Mark, how are you doing?
Spelling.
Spelling.
I have terrible. It's insulting my grammar. My smell I can handle. My grammar will not stand. I'm doing all right. I'm good. I didn't go to the poetry bar. I went to one of my favorite places in Springfield. In fact, I got myself a can of Duff beer.
Well done.
Oh my God.
Found it in my local Lidl. Yes, which I can't go to anymore without seeing all the stuff since Angie and her Aldi and all the supermarket. Yeah.
Shout out Angie Strachan. She is a beautiful human. We just posted one of her videos, so please do check that out. And finally, our final guest on the show, I am joined by the actually pretty vanilla, not really menacing, not really threatening at all, Kevin Mclean.
That's way more hurtful than any of them. It's my best review I've ever had. I opened for Imogen Sterling when she was doing Hypocrisy. I think it was at the Traverse or Lyceum or something, and the review described me as comfortingly mundane. So
That's so good.
So Kev's doing well, I think, is probably what the takeaway.
I just wanted to raise as well immediately. I don't like how smug Bex looked when you brought up that we were all in our tiny flats in Leith, and I saw the little thought bubble come up going, "Not me! I bought a house."
That's right,
yourself,
fuckers.
Your houses and your pun drinks. What are you drinking, Kev?
I am drinking. I finally got to go and hang out with my dad, and he's built himself a hut. By a hut, I mean a pub in his back garden, and he gave me a bottle of Jack Daniels. So I'm drinking the old Jack and Pepsi Max classic.
Truly beautiful, truly beautiful. And guys,
shout out to the Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn.
I am the menacing, the mad scientist, Dr. Katie Ailes, and I am drinking human blood. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's actually a really lovely jammy red that Kevin's dad bought for me for Christmas, and we just got our Christmas presents over the weekend. So it's been a year. It's a
real ship of Theseus situation of if those bottles are actually the original Christmas presents or not, is all I'm saying.
questionable.
Guys, whatever you are drinking at home, whether it is also human blood or a lovely beer or a delightful cup of chamomile, welcome to the show. We are going to be sharing poems and chatting about poems and just generally having a blast. And we will get to our monsters post-haste. But before we do so, I have some very, very exciting business to attend to, which involves bringing out Mark. Take it away.
Oh, I see where we're going. Well, I have before you get it, Kate. There's some stuff I need to tell you and the viewers at home before you do it. So much like yourself, I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For a pint glass from the bar began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, there was a glass. It was a poetry glass. There was a glass. A challenges glass. It was a glass. A poetic pint glass of poetic challenges. That doesn't fit the thing. But yes, long story short, it's pint glass.
Oh,
I love you so much.
These are getting elaborate.
The next time HMRC asks me what I do for my job, I'm just going to send them that clip.
I really hope no one from Creative Scotland ever watches this.
I hope
It's not
they
funded,
do.
so yes,
Not yet. If you would like to sponsor us, particularly alcohol companies, that would be swell.
This is our poetic pint glass of poetic challenges, everyone. This is how we get all of our challenges that we take on through Loud Poets Happy Hour. And my exciting business is that we have some challenges to add into the pint glass. So where did we get these challenges? Did we find them on the road? No, that's dangerous. We got them from our Patreon supporters. So if you would like to propose any challenges for us to add to the pint glass, you can sign up to our Patreon for as little as £1 a month. We have put the link in the video description below. And I am now very dramatically going to take all of these challenges. Look at all these amazing challenges from our amazing patrons. And I'm gonna
so much future
I
pain.
dropped one on the floor and I'm gonna put them all into the pint glass and get the one on the floor. And everyone's going in. Challenges. So we will return to the poetic pint glass of poetic challenges later in this episode. But for now, it's time to get to our current challenge. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Good. Because we're doing it. So, first up, well, no, I won't put anyone on the spot just yet. Just
Kate is having intermittent technical issues. I think she's saying she's not going to put anyone on the spot, but really, she could be saying absolutely anything because this has immediately gone early off the rails. Anyway, she's back. Let's carry on.
Yeah, sweet, amazing.
Hey, Katie, what's up?
hello, Kev. How are you feeling this week? Just quickly, we'll go around everyone, see how everyone's doing.
It was good. I was doing good. I was on the check-in. If you've not checked that out, do so. Me and you had a chat about what we were tackling this week. So that really helped me out. Actually, I tweeted that I was like, I don't think I would have done remotely anything this as interesting as I have done had we not had that chat. Because it's sometimes you need that other person. It's one of the things that's driven me crazy about lockdown. Is like we often, and I've always done it because I've always been in Loud Poets since I started doing poetry. So I've always had people to like bounce lines off of and ideas, and people would go, oh, and just tweak what you're doing. And I've missed that quite a lot. A lot of the writing I've done over NaPoWriMo or for this show and stuff has been fairly solitary, because I don't want to read you stuff necessarily before we do this and all that. But sitting doing the check-in, I found really helpful because it just provoked me to go, I could do something very different, and I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be good. I'm very excited for that. Bex, how are you feeling? Was it a good challenge? Tough challenge?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. I've done something different. I don't think it's technically in form, which is a big deal for me. But it may actually secretly be a form, and I just haven't thought about the fact that it's a form. But yeah, I liked it. When I read, I'll explain more when we get into it. I don't like it, but we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
It's a bigger conversation.
I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
I wish Bex had been on the
Gallie,
check-in.
yays, nays. How are you doing, Gallie? Was it a
for
good
me,
week?
it's, yeah, I should preface it with, once again, I don't know if I've technically written a poem, and if I have, the term freeform we're gonna see how far that belt can stretch.
Every episode with you.
I know, I don't. But then But then you guys say, no, that's a poem at the end.
I think everything's a poem.
Yeah. So this one I had a lot of ideas with. This was. I had so many things of, I could do that or I could do that, and I had similar struggles, I think, to you, Kev, when some of the things you were talking about in the check-in of like, oh, I want to go, like, trying to get into the mind space of a monster, but I'm like, I don't want to try and empathize with this, you know, like, and sort of yo-yoed a bit all over the shop before landing on something. And again, like Bex, I'll explain a bit more when we get to me. But I landed on a thing, and it is from the point of view of a monster.
I like how
you're
most
saying that like
artists,
a preemptive argument.
Yeah.
I like how most artists are concerned with pushing the envelope, whereas Gallie, you're just going, what is an envelope?
Well, a little bit.
Will you let me in? Will you let me in the envelope? Am I a poem?
I don't know. I guess I'm going, well, they keep saying it's poetry, so I'll keep trying until they tell me I'm wrong.
You know,
I
think
honestly
as soon
the
as
best approach.
I think as soon as Gallie wrote that poem that was Goku, he went, poems are nothing. Poems can be whatever, and I will bend them to my insane whims. And since then, he's been just off on a tangent because he was pretty like weirdly sexual and kind of aggressive, sure, but they were mostly poems. Whereas now he's veering on a weird tangent.
Return to form.
I think concrete poetry broke us all.
No, yeah, return to form, NaPoWriMo, and thing that they've done what we wanted. They've expanded my mind to new ideas, but I don't think we thought about what that could result in. So we'll see. I'm excited. I think,
but at what cost?
At what cost? I finished it early. It was the quickest one I did with this one. Weirdly enough, I actually finished this one really quick, mainly so that I would stop thinking of different ideas. I was like, that's it. I've done it. I've written. I got any other ideas? Cool for the future. Like,
this show is so weird to host because I don't know what the guys have come up with. So, dear viewer, I am just as clueless and mildly concerned as you are at this moment, I would imagine. But let's dive right in. Yes, Kevin.
Can I ask a favor? Can I go first? Because if I get any more pissed, I'm not going to be able to read mine. Like, it's difficult to read.
Well, I was going to go with, again, the check-in. So if we're going by the check-in goes first.
Oh, well then cool.
You are first.
Sweet.
Because of the check-in.
Cool. I just worried.
So first up, we have the wonderful and thrilling Kevin Mclean, who, as we have been saying, joined me for the check-in. So Kevin, would you like to share your poem, or do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I guess
it's already been introduced.
Well, because I'll kind of repeat what we discussed on the check-in in brief. Was I wanted to do a zombie poem because I didn't want to do like a real life, like a human monster, because it just upset me when I started thinking about it. Because I think you have to like empathize and stuff. And I know there's ways to write that, but I didn't want to have to consider those things. So I thought I'd do like a big fictional monster, but it's hard to pick, and you know, complex metaphors already exist behind them all. Found it tricky, so I decided to sort of attach one to something I could identify with, which I went with hunger, and I picked zombies. And it was very interesting because we had the chat, and by the end of it, you suggested that I do something quite like monotonous, and you know, you suggested not taking line breaks and just kind of like writing. And I don't know how much I've necessarily done that. It kind of eventually did what I always end up doing, which is kind of line breaky, but like it definitely pushed me in a direction I didn't expect. So yeah, I don't have a name for this. And yeah. I stumble, crumble, fumble to fill in the need, the greed to eat. I'm overcome, scratch and claw and push past the other one's bite and snarl and wait for the blood to run. Joy and love and hope and thought gone, hate and taste remain as I shuffle on. Drop and rot and flotsam everywhere, rags and bones and dust made of skin and hair, still and calm as we stand in place and stare. We come alive when you're sensing the air. So turn and run and try to hide anywhere, cower and cry and jump at the sounds you hear. Meat sweets simply by adding fear, tender as terror to rip and to tear. Gorge and gash and gut with no end in sight, no need for sleep. Keep creeping day and night, warm, weak and weary, no way to put up a fight, too tired to see safety's fight with the light. Step by step, I'm catching up with you. I can't help what I'm going to put you through. Hunger hurts. Look what it made me do. Teeth into tissue turns you to me too. So stumble, crumble, fumble to fill in the need, the greed to eat. Now you're overcome. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird.
My God.
It's so great.
I need to. I'm not. It's so difficult to read. It's very difficult to read, and so I need more practice with it. I think it'll be good if I can like properly nail it down, but it's difficult to do, especially when I'm drinking.
That's amazing, though. Like it was so interesting because when we were talking on the check-in about monotony, like there's so many ways that you can do monotony, and but this is not. This is going to sound like an oxymoron, but like this is not a boring version of monotony. It's plodding ahead at the same rate, but it's so engaging and slick and cyclical. Like, ooh,
yeah,
that's gorgeous.
It was nice because like having the rhythm and like it doesn't fit, right? Like nothing's the same length. It's not actually like a rhyming structure, like technically I don't think, but like having a rhythm rather than like having a rhythm and then being like the vocal melody is manipulable inside the rhythm.
Yeah.
Made it very limiting in terms of sometimes I had to abandon a lot of periphery words, and it gave it like a really nice feel actually of like it made the language feel stunted and kind of broken, and I liked that about it. Like it, very like either the words were like they rhyme themselves or they're alliterative or whatever, and it's to feel that like almost like you're grasping at the next, you don't quite know. It feels like instinctual, which is what I was kind of hoping for.
It's like a nursery rhymes at the Addams Family house. Like that's kind of like because it has that like lovely rhythm that you are saying, like that kind of like melodic thing, even if it's like a simple but it's like horrible. So it's like, and I was like listening to it with my eyes shut, and I was like, oh my God, I'm matching my heartbeat to the pace of this fucking poem. This is so intense. It was a bit scary.
That's
so
dangerous.
Thanks for that. I might be ill. I'll go to the hospital after this. It's fine.
Gallie, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to piggyback off of the thing. So the first thing for me was like, I when starting with that thing of like that introduction of like monotonous was absolutely not what I was expecting in that term, but it fits so well straight away as well. And then I got so like in the rhythm of it as well, is because it is that same like monotonous, just the same sound over and over again. That doesn't have to be the same one sound, I guess. I don't know the technical description, but that's you've got that.
It can be an interesting repeating line.
Oh,
right?
for
like,
sure.
That's the thing. It's
that
still
rhythm
monotonous.
And what I quite like about that, intentional or not, whether you can tell me or thingy, but like that repetitive kind of rhythm, especially with stuff around like that zombie thing, that slow march, that like that constant, that consistency almost to it, I thought really like fit really well. Then could like kind of like try to like take in more and more of the words and put it together. It's like, yeah, it's got. I mean, obviously the delivery and the performance of it adds a fear factor and a creep to it anyway, as do the words and everything to it. But it's almost that like that beat and that rhythm almost make it a bit, that bit like, no, I'm not scared. I want to hear more where it's going, more that thing. It's almost like a lure of its own, which I think is very nice.
It feels almost like a lullaby in that cyclical thing, but like the worst lullaby in the world. But it almost like it feels like this is going to be a weird metaphor, like you've gotten caught in the spoke of a wheel that keeps turning that you can't avoid.
That's
like,
why I liked as well I mean?
that
I
that
brought
momentum.
It back to the last line is the first, like, so it starts with someone as a zombie, right? At what point you're picking up, you don't know. And by the end of it, they're turning someone else into a zombie, and it's the immediate, so you stumble, crumble, tumble to fill in the grade. Like, and it's now you're overcome is the last line, as opposed to I'm overcome. And so it's just, it's like you could repeat that infinitely. and it would be the poem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
10-hour version of that poem on YouTube, like the
Terrifying.
long video, the long form of the video.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Gandalf's head, but zombied.
The constant loop. Oh, that's
Oh,
brilliant.
great
Are
work.
you, because I know that Kev, this was definitely stepping out of your comfort zone because most of your work does not sound like this. Is that something that you're glad that you did?
I'm a big fan of like varying up rhythms and stuff in my poetry, but like I use it almost like punctuation. Like I have a pretty standard format, I guess, for how I do poems. Not like purposefully, it's just like, right, your poem sounds like you. It's the way I kind of speak poetically. But then what I'll do is like I'll do that, and mix it up. And you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of attempt. Whereas yeah, this was something, a very different rhythm, and like not relying on that first bit, but you know, kind of doing it consistently was very difficult. It's one of the hardest poems to write. Like I don't think it's done, just because like I don't know, there's so much I could put in it and change, but like writing it was so hard because the way I write, it's very fluid. Like the next thing follows the next, and it informs, and I want it that way. Like I'm a big believer of spoken word
Step
needs to be
follows step.
It's easy, son.
a big proponent of like spoken word should be understood in the immediate. That like, while that's why I see the difference between page and stage isn't, you know, it's not a debate about quality for me, it's a debate about like interface. Like books are meant to be poured over, performance is meant to be understood in the immediate. You might never hear that poem again. So like I like writing that way because it keeps me, you know, sort of trapped in like everyday words and vernacular and stuff that I use purposefully. Whereas doing something like this is so regimented. You have to be very like, you know, okay, I need some alliteration there, or I need a bit of rhyme there, or, you know, to keep the flow, the specific pattern going. So it was really difficult to write. It took me, that's one of the shortest ones I've done for this show, and it's by far the most time I've spent writing.
It sounds like the most complex though as well, from that, getting all of those things to fit in those rhythms in such a particular rhythm with certain sounds and stuff.
The rhyme
like,
is locked in my head because I've just had to, it's so difficult to read. I've just had to keep being like, because it doesn't fit as well. It's not like iambic pentameter where once you're in the rhythm, it goes because it all fits. It's like, I have to go, oh no, and that bit needs a very slight different inflection, or take a breath in the middle of the sentence there because you're missing a word that would fill out the beat. I don't know if that makes sense, but like,
It's almost like it feels more like rap than poetry. That another oxymoron, because rap is rhythm and poetry, right? So but very much like rapping with sort of compound rhyming and various, you know, rhythmic uses. Like I it's a world that I know very little about.
I mean, I will always say like fucking rappers blow poets away in terms of complex rhyme structures and like good sort of sound assonance and making words flexible. Like I like half rhymes and, you know, hints of sounds. Like I don't really care about like really rigid structured rhyming. It's why I found like sonnets very hard and stuff, because I was like, oh, but I can make it fit, and you're like, yeah, but that's not how it works. Okay.
Oh, amazing stuff. Any other comments, guys, on Kev's poem before we roll along?
Other than it was really good.
like good job, buddy.
It was kind of cool when you did take those like breaths. You had that moment that you would be like, you know, you're in this apocalypse world, you're running away, you can hear this, and then suddenly like you pause to be like, are they coming? What's going on? Oh shit, and you start like running away again.
Yeah, it's trying
It's like
to find
these
where those
moments
breaks
of
are, right?
levity within when it would be unpredictable if you were like adventuring or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Why I quite liked the change that the rhyme structure isn't super consistent either, because it almost makes it feel like shambly, like not a proper sprint, a kind of like weird gait, you know, like a zombie would kind of shuffle.
I have a weird world where in a D&D game there's just like a swarm of zombies that are like they're all like zombies that used to be musicians, and they're just like creeping out saying this towards the party, and they're like,
Yes.
I don't know, that would be cool. Anyway.
I'm on board.
Sweet.
And now for more monstrosity segues. Gallie, I'm gonna very randomly choose you.
Oh, it's not as big a segue as you think it is. Right. So I have
Oh dear.
So I need to preface this now, and Kev, you will agree that we did not discuss our poems for this week at all in any real capacity other than how you
Have
get
you
them.
written the same poem
other
as
than
Kev?
you publicly being able to see what I was planning. No, I guess we didn't go over it.
Well,
in any way.
apart from that, but I finished this before the check-in came in.
Purportedly.
No, I should preface that because it's very so. I have also gone with the monster of zombies. But I got there in a very different way, and so the delivery is very different. So one of my
you're a virus zombie, whereas I'm an undead zombie.
No. See, zombies have had a big PR problem for me for a very long time. Much in the same way as like vampires are not what they once were. Like, no, the fiction has diluted these abominations, these true monsters of lore. But one of my favorite things to do, and I was getting a bit like, okay, I've been doing a lot of stuff in the horror kind of fashion that doesn't really require it being horror, and this one obviously lends it to being more scary, but I didn't want to do that. But one of my favorite things in, let's call it media, is like something like either really dark or really grim or really scary, but delivered in a wonderfully upbeat fashion.
This is going to be petrifying, isn't it?
So I've also gone with so that's I suppose that's the only thing I'll go in with, and then we can discuss it at the end. But it's very interesting for me that we've both gone for there's a lot of similarities in completely different deliveries here. So cool. We are the zombie horde, you're about to meet your end. We are the ghastly mass just looking for a friend. We are the groaning noise that wakes you up at night. This barricade won't hold, so just let us inside. Hi, I'm Fred. I used to make bread. These days, I'm more concerned with inside your head, and I was scared too. But look at this diversity, class, color, gender. We have total equality. Let's talk for a second. We just want to hang, so put down the gun and come meet the gang. We are the shambling swarm. What a lovely home you've got. Stop hiding now and meet the pals I brought. We are the undead drones and no one will survive. Our hearts don't beat no more, but we've never felt more alive. Myth-busting time, you all think that you know me, but sometimes I'm eating because my mouth is just lonely, and we don't spend our time in supermarkets or malls. We spend our time behind you, waiting for a fall. So stop treating us like brain-dead dolts. We're more than moans and rot. Besides, if we're so stupid, why do you keep getting caught? We are the frenzied mass, there's nowhere left to run. Enough of being scared, come and join the fun. We are the rancid ranks, just let us touch your skin. We know it stings a bit, but now your journey can begin. We are the end of days and you're next on our list. We're just around that bend, so come, give us a kiss.
Oh my god, that's the best thing ever.
Holy
so
shit.
Yeah, different deliveries, but yeah, zombies and rhythm based, I guess.
That's so.
No,
oh my god.
No, don't be excited. You've failed because
you've
written
wrote
a musical.
Song.
Yeah,
I think I wrote a song. I don't think I wrote a poem. Yeah,
not even a solo song, a two-hander. It's musical theater. No, you failed.
It's like the zombie Book of Mormon.
Yeah, I thought I might have heard the end of that.
Fuck step.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
There you go. So I went a different route.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I wrote a poem.
I don't know. It reminds me of a song that I know called "Re Your Brains" by Jonathan Coltrane, which I think was released in like 2007. Probably haven't listened to it since I was a teenager, but it's straight back in my head.
Well, I'll have to listen to that now. I promise I've never heard that before.
No, it's definitely. It's not like it's like.
The
rhythm
is
can I copy your homework?
Stuff. I've not created a song. I was like that.
Speaking of zombies in D&D, this is the second verse of the Bard zombie play.
Oh yeah, because that was my thing. Is zombies are thing? They're the thing for me. The fear of zombies, or the thing that makes zombies scary to me, is not that like you know, it was never like the brains or anything. It was that like joining. It was that loss of identity. It was supposed to be that slow, shambling, rolling, groaning sound that like was supposed to freak out villages at night and be a reason not to go places because this dangerous thing, and that they would be there and you would become part of the thing. But yeah, I don't know whether I feel like I've just kind of given zombies a boy band and made them a bit preachy.
It's so funny though, because that bit, oh, my family's gonna disown me for saying this, but it feels like a lot of like religious when people perceive religions to be cult-like, a lot of the times the way that they respond to that is by saying what your zombies said, which is, oh, we have diversity, you know, we're not just like Jehovah's Witnesses coming to the door is very much how a lot of it felt, you know, knocking on the door. And so a lot of it felt like that.
Oh, there's certainly elements. I hadn't made it meant to be in that bit. That like the quality line was just like going, oh yeah, zombies are the only ones to complete equality because everyone's the same, except for the ones that like became zombies without legs. But like, there's programs for them, I assume, and stuff.
Equal opportunities, monster.
Yeah,
apocalypse.
exactly. But so yeah, I didn't write a poem. Cool, it's good to know.
Well, you've written a musical for your beautiful voice. Thank you for gracing.
Oh, I'm terrified of doing that. We'll have to. I'm sure there's an auto-tune editing feature. We'll get Jack Hinks like overdub it. We'll have him sing it, and then please, Jack.
That was
so interesting.
Delightful.
I do think like more and more every poem you do has such a like theatric nature to it. Like you're always looking for you're one of the few poets even when I hear, you know, see your work written down or you're just sharing it like this, like on a kind of more personal level, I'm like, I can picture you doing it as a big number on a stage, you know what I mean? Like all of your pieces. Like I always hark back to the Viking poem because I wrote one at the same time and I did like a very like small poem about like origami and like, you know, just told the story and folded this thing. And Mark was like, I'm gonna need a lot of production for mine. It's gonna be and I'm just, you're like, it's just a very Mark tactic and I love it so much.
I don't know whether that comes from, and I know you've spoken to folk on the Loudcast about this a bit, is like talk about the coming into poetry from a different angle. Like I didn't find poetry until I came to see the Loud Poets Fringe show in 2015 and went, this is all right. But before that, yeah, I'd done like acting and performing, and like the poetry thing for me is because I don't write for catharsis so much. Like I write because Katie tells me to every 2 weeks. But no, I suppose I first connected with poetry a bit because they felt very similar to monologues, I guess. And in that same way, as you mentioned earlier, a lot is expressed and understood quite quickly or quite like on the surface. There's deeper subtext to a lot of things, but I don't know whether that's whether I come from the like, what would be fun to perform, which is probably the case because I don't write to leave it, to not do it. I want to perform it or do it in some way. So I'm like, maybe that's why I'm like going, I go way too far instead of going, it was just from the point of view of a monster. Why is that what you've done? So
always better to be overly ambitious though, you know, in my book with creative practice.
But yeah, I wanted to still keep that bit. It was like, yeah, it's very upbeat and it's thingy, and the point of view bits from Fred are maybe unnecessary, but in each one there is a line of this story of noise outside to you getting munched and then joining.
I'm so excited
there is a complete story.
Fred
at least
jumps in and starts rapping.
In a serious level though, there's one of the conversations I had with Kate on the check-in was I felt you were trapped with this. I genuinely said, Begs, I don't know if you saw this, but I was like, might have been easier to go for cow poem because then you could write where you wanted. It was being the perspective of a monster, and in my assessment, it trapped you in two frames of mind: sincerity or like cliche, right? Like or you do the, oh no, I'm not actually a monster, I'm misunderstood. And like I thought like I can't
empathize with the monster.
Yeah, so I was like the cliche, I want to avoid that. Just like it felt very hackney, and like so I had to go sincere. Whereas what you've done is when I see cliche and I'm just going to drive past it for 4 or 5 miles and park here, and now it's not cliche anymore.
Advice
and I
Katie gave
respect
me in
that.
my first check-in when I was talking about the things, like, I'm worried I'm doing too much of the thing. She went, no, if you're gonna do like satire or that kind of thing, turn it up to 20. Go for it. And that's why I was like, I don't want to sing. I personally, not for the things, don't think I'm gonna have an amazing voice. I was like, but you should sing because that's the way that's delivered and that's the way you've envisioned it. And so that's. But
it takes it past cliche and
that's why
back to funny. It's like the Family Guy thing of the, the joke goes on long enough. If you go far enough, it elevates it from something that's like, yeah, we've heard that one. Like, people are desensitized to like The Walking Dead, right? They don't care. But I guarantee if a show came out that was like a zombie musical, that people would be like, checking that out.
My crazy ex-zombie.
With his baton.
Do I now need to write a zombie musical on top of all of the like animation, like concrete things? Because that project has started, just so people are aware. I've been going through photos and looking at art styles and things, so that's not been lost. That was an idea. I'm keeping going with that. So if whatever exciting. Can be drawn from the Poetic Pint Glass could work back into that somehow, that'd be great.
Well, segue master, we will get to the Poetic Pint Glass in a moment, but we have another poet.
It's a fucking terrible segue.
I was like, no, but the pint glass is later.
Sorry, just rumbles, accidental earthquakes from my knees.
So our final poet for everyone today is the tremendous Bex Sherwood. Bex, I don't know if you have another zombie, and we're going to go 3 for 3 here.
I don't. I actually really wish now that I did write a zombie poem. But I did something that was also mentioned in Kev's check-in as an idea that he had, which I think is because I was watching these videos on the I Am Loud YouTube channel and something popped up that was talking about Jack the Ripper.
Oh my God. Do we all just share the same brain now? This is worrying.
I need to watch stuff on my own YouTube profile. Well, the thing is, unlike the boys who are like, I'm not going to write something from the perspective of a horrible bastard, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to voice this horrible bastard. And I watched a lot of Jack the Ripper stuff. I'm kind of already into like unsolved mysteries and like all that. Ooh, sorry. Unsolved mysteries and all of that stuff is my jam. And one of the things with Jack the Ripper that was really interesting is like it was the first kind of like media frenzy that had really happened. This was the first time like widespread newspapers were delivered. The literacy levels of the population was like, on the rise, and things were passing. And one of the things that was really weird, and no one's ever confirmed if it was a hoax or not, is that Jack the Ripper allegedly named himself when he wrote a letter to a newsagent, like a news publisher, and they're like quite famous letters, and it then sparked when they eventually published it then sparked a whole media frenzy of people sending fake letters as being Jack the Ripper, which is hilarious. That meme culture has been alive forever, yo. But I thought it would be kind of interesting because I wanted to write from his perspective without having to be like, what I did was good. So I thought if I like took it out of the context of it being immediate, and like we still don't know who Jack the Ripper is, and this guy was like a boastful, smug, like bastard. So like if he was still alive to write another letter, what would that letter say? And that is what I have written. So I suppose it is a form because it's a letter poem. I don't know whether that counts as a form. Damn it, I tried.
Epistolary.
Great.
Well done.
Sweet. Accidental forms. Do. You can tick that off your happy hour bingo. So this is a little like dark, but I thought if it ever does get too dark, I'll just perform it on an East London accent on stage. I also don't want to, but I don't want to necessarily like ruin it. We'll see. Maybe I'll do 2 takes and Kev can pick which one goes in the edit. But yeah, this is my dear boss lamb. Dear boss, I take great joy in composing more praises for your fine publication and hope to receive further congratulations of my own upon its presentation to the public. How clever they try, those bobbies and net weavers still affected by my brief framed introductions, my generous distributions to those unfortunates, no longer cursed with such afflictions and lurid temptations from this mortal plane. How jolly for old Jack to live onwards for the mercies I bestowed, and to capture hearts of other likely souls. Their actions keep me in supply of this famed red ink. My fine knife rusted. I left it to bathe in the murky tides under the traitor's gate, a place for death of many other unworthies. I can always find another blade, should there be those out there deserving of ripping. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper.
That's chilling. I like how you really immersed yourself in the language too, like that sort of the style of writing that would have been used in the time. That felt quite accurate. That was ace.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked hard on making it sound weird.
I was going to say
do in poetry.
I was going to say the same thing of like, you always do that, Bex. Like you frame your language so well to whatever you're writing about. Like I feel I'm quite repetitive in my vocabulary. It's something I've tried to work on a bit, but like I always feel that yours sounds so specifically like what you're doing. Like terms like I don't know if it's research terms or from you, like net weaver and like the unworthy thing. I'm pretty sure that was something he used a lot. And like I like when you can feel the weight of research behind a piece.
Yeah, the net weavers thing is actually just, I was like, how would a guy from whatever era it was, you're so well researched, I've forgotten the year, how would a guy from whatever time, what would he describe someone who was like on the internet doing that Charlie Day thing of being like, it was this guy who lived 3 blocks away 200 years ago, like what would he describe those as?
See,
that kind of like net
weirdly,
weaver.
I got a very visceral flash of like cops patrolling old, Victorian London streets, like the closing net. Like it's a very nice term. If that's you rather than him, great, because it's lovely.
Thanks. Yeah, there were definitely like certain things like bobbies and whatever is not. I would never describe a police officer as a bobby, but like there are certain things I did take from. I looked at a lot of his letters, and then I also looked at a lot of the letters that people claimed to be Jack the Ripper with, where they actually ended up getting like fined and prosecuted and all this sort of stuff, like because they found out who it was, like some rando threatening their neighbor because they've left the washing out for like literally it was insane. There were so many letters, but just trying to kind of get into that like language. I will say though, if this letter is written by Jack the Ripper, his letter is probably the best written of all of the random letters that I saw, but there was a really intense one that was written, was signed "From Hell," which I thought was really fun. That one was definitely fake,
that's
but like
postcode.
That's a way to sign your email if someone sent you a rejection.
You can go
I don't
down a real rabbit
appreciate you
hole
letting me know "From Hell."
There's a lot of weird Jack the Ripper conspiracies and stuff and like theories about where he is. When I worked at the dungeon, Edinburgh Dungeon, we had like a Jack the Ripper thing in for a bit, and obviously because it was like, branding across all the dungeons and all the cities, and like you have to justify it for your one, and they picked Jack the Ripper because every city in the world has some story of how, but the real Jack the Ripper went to Holland, like Edinburgh. Like so our version was like there was this Scottish doctor that was accused of being Jack the Ripper and things like that. It's a real rabbit hole.
I love Bex. I think one of the brilliant things about that is like, although a lot of it is just sort of, this letter to the guy and a lot of this like flowery language being like, oh, I want to praise your paper. Like the poem is so anchored in those details, like the knife rusting under the trader's gate and the red, what was it, like the precious red ink?
Yeah, like blood. Red ink. Yeah.
And so I always love that, how like, you can anchor a poem in those really visceral details and in those objects and things, because those will stick in my mind. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's funny, Kate, when you say flowery language, because not to do, weird gender assigning to, descriptions, but I thought it felt very masculine. I felt it lacked a lot of, what people would call flowery language, and like, not to say Bex's poems are filled with flowery language normally, but like I think it was very different cadence wise an approach to how you would speak from your point of view,
Yeah.
or even in a a kind of disembodied perspective?
Yeah, well, I don't want to be stereotypical, but I think we've all safely assumed that the guy going around, it's a guy that's going around doing this
100%,
fucked up shit,
yeah.
right? Like that's, it was kind of like, I didn't want to necessarily, I kind of made intentional choices to make it not a female voice. And like, obviously it will be hilarious if I ever did do this in my life. Dear boss, I take great joy in composing more praises for your fine publication. But I think that might be another Patreon exclusive.
But it is, it shows real
Sign up,
discipline.
folks.
It shows real discipline in writing to be able to slip into, a kind of clearly identifiably more masculine voice or whatever. Like,
yeah, well, this is, it was going to link on from kind of Mark's thing as well as like where it's, when is this not just a monologue? Like, why is this a poem and not just a monologue? Because it is literally a thing and whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought I bridged the gap of being able to like make him sympathetic when I made it, this is how he is presenting his perspective. And it kind of meant that I could.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like from start to finish it very much feels like from start of the idea to finish of this, it felt very smart. Like, so, like, I know you're making jokes going, but it feels that you've done research into the thing or use knowledge that you already have within it. Like, say the language is very not dissimilar to yours, but say it's tailored to the thing. It's in that format, and I really like. And I know what you're saying is like me and Kev have gone a very different way with it, but you've never tried to. You've done it the very clever way of going, if he was like alive today or they were alive here, how would they feel, rather than going, oh, I'm Jack the Ripper and I'm atoning for, like, I just didn't like the way they dressed. You're not trying to make us sympathetic. You're keeping them a monster. And that's the
point of interest is around the displacement in time.
Yeah. It's not that it's so like, it's just, very clever and very well executed as well. So yeah, good job.
Awesome.
Not zombies.
Not zombies. Sorry. It's the next challenge to be pulled out. Write a zombie poem. You're all screwed.
That would have been a great third act reveal, Bex. And I'm still alive because I'm a zombie.
Oh my gosh! I totally should have added that on. That's the Cockney version of it. I got cursed and turned into a zombie for the murders. What I did.
Well, maybe now it's time to see if that is our next challenge.
Oh. I'm scared that's in there now.
If it isn't yet, Patreon supporters, feel free to make
it Cockney.
Oh my god!
Add that in for one of the challenges, right?
Well, that's the point. We've never had, because we've always,
rhyming slang.
We always get things that is about the poem. Like, do we have any that are like about delivery of poem or like performance? It's still
give people ideas.
Well, like, it's a spoken word thing as well. So I guess we'll see. But ideas, thoughts for you folks out there.
So yeah, in order to add your own challenges, as I've said, you can sign up to the Patreon. But as we are coming to the
it's probably something about swiftly coming to a conclusion, but we'll find out shortly.
She'll look really mad in a minute. Hang on, her face will come back and she'll look furious.
Incoming thumbnail in 3, 2.
As we are swiftly coming to a conclusion, it is time to present our glorious artifact. So, Gallie.
We all know the song. So, but it was the glass. It was a poetry glass. There was a glass. A challenges glass. It was a glass. A poetry pint glass. It was a glass. The full title of the thing. Poetry pint glass. A poetic challenges. I don't know if I could.
Wow. Anyway,
wow.
I didn't expect Mark to do as much singing in this podcast as he's ended up doing.
It's delighting.
Me neither, Kevin. Frankly, and I knew I was coming in with some.
I feel like the subtitle of this episode should just be Mark Sings. Monsters and Mark's beautiful voice. So yes, everyone, it is time to draw our next challenges. So if this is the first episode of Loud Poets Happy Hour you have seen, there's not normally this much singing, and the way
no one whose first episode it is has made it to this point.
Never made it this far.
Oh my god, no way.
That's fair. The way that this final segment works is that we choose 2 different options for our next challenge. So we draw them at random from the Poetic Pint Glass and Poetic Challenges. And then you guys, you beautiful viewers, get to vote on what our next challenge is. So we post those polls up. I will tell you where in a moment. But first, I'm going to draw out our 2 challenges. I'm going to do it one at a time. We'll have a wee bit of chat after each one. So can I get a monstrous drum roll, everyone, to choose our first option? That was beautiful. Our first option is to write a poem about a scientific concept or discovery.
Oh my god. What?
Or
Science.
More discovery.
Oh, I'm going to end up doing another Kierkegaard poem because I watched a weird video about black holes not long ago and it's haunted me ever since.
Right.
Oh
You had
no.
nightmares. Don't write about that.
No.
So
No, this feels like another one, like point of view of a monster thing. This feels like it's got so much breadth of topic.
Yeah,
Like,
I already have
write
like
about
100
a nice
ideas.
little tree frog. You don't have to write about horrible things.
Yeah,
It's not where our
it was
brains
a
go,
nice
Katie.
little tree frog, and it was a zombie girl.
Hold on. Tree frogs aren't a scientific concept.
Unless you're talking about when you
discovery
boil them.
or
Or a
discovery.
discovery. They're their own
someone
thing.
Someone
discovered them.
discovered tree frogs.
Right.
That's
I'm gonna
loose.
say
I like
I'm gonna
loose.
say
Wait.
yeah, you can just something in science. I know that's very broad.
I
But
can never
a
in there.
a science thing.
Okay, great.
Make it about science.
Okay,
in
cool.
some way.
Thought of a loophole that has nothing to do with that but fits the description. Damn it!
What have I done? All right, let's draw out our next challenge. And
Okay,
then
yeah.
You guys can sort of advocate. You can try to sway our viewers for which one you want. So can I have another monstrous drum roll? You just coughed up a hairball, Gallie.
Oh no, I just coughed off the back of my face.
My Zoom's just asked me if we're doing professional audio. Are you playing music?
They funded. Sorry, no professional audio.
Oh god.
Our second option for this week is to write a poem that uses tense in interesting ways.
So science is going to win then.
I don't know.
I'm going to do the thing that I do every challenge and that Kev gets grumpy about every challenge, which is that you could write a poem about time travel, which uses tense in interesting ways and
So,
combine the
also-
challenges.
Time travel, not a scientific discovery as of yet.
But someone could
But it is a
discover it in the
concept.
Wow.
future, and then that would be the past because of time travel.
You're gonna
We have a
confuse
theory
yourself.
about time travel, scientific theory.
It's
a
a concept.
Don't
It
combine
works.
them. Don't combine them. They're separate tasks.
Okay, well,
Okay,
you pick one, and then
on
that will
the
be
time
what people
thing.
can vote for.
On time thing, I do. I'm a big fan of Leo Glaister. We put a video of his recently, Batman Forever. He has a phenomenal poem where he plays with time loops. And he did it at Loud Poets Glasgow once. And if anyone has ever been to Loud Poets Glasgow, you'll know there's like a real big step before you hit the stage. And when he was running out to do it, normally like runs up and he says a spiel and he goes backwards, and then he runs up and says the spiel and goes backwards. Well, he ran to the stage and he tripped and fell, like boom, totally wiped out. Got up, ran to the mic, said the thing, walked backwards, laid down, got up, ran backwards, ran in, threw himself down. And he does it like a dozen times. I've never seen someone commit so hard. So your time travel
Bravo.
poems better be dope because I've got a high bar.
Wow. Jesus. Okay. Maybe
All
not
right, so
time travel.
what does everyone prefer then? So we have playing with tense in interesting ways, and we have scientific concepts and discoveries. So Bex, thoughts? What are you going to vote for? Or what are you going to encourage our viewers to vote for?
I would like science. I think it would be cool. I just don't know how yeah, I'm science. I'm team science. Team science. Yeah. Let's
Team
go.
science. Ace, Gallie, what are you thinking?
I do feel like science has got the easiest options here, but I'm gonna go with wanting tense to win because I would like to write a poem for next week or next time, and I think this is the best one to keep me on track. Also, I have an idea
Fair.
that could be. I have an idea already on my that one. Yeah.
Excellent. And Kev, what are you thinking? Team science, team tenses?
I don't know. The only time I've ever really played with tense is in my poem Insomnia. There's a bit where I like deliberately flip tenses quite rapidly as like to show how disorientated I am. So there is like the concept is interesting. I sometimes accidentally change tenses just because I'm not very bright, like in letters and stuff. So that can be fun. You know, maybe something like Taylor Malley's Impotence of Proofreading. You know, there's maybe like there. But I think science is strong, and I liked when we did experimental words with Dan Simpson. He came up here with an amazing professor, Sam Illingworth, and did we did a show where we paired up poets and scientists. And I know Dan is Dan's doing it currently. He's running experimental word stuff. I think they just released an album actually, so like that'd be cool. I could listen to that and
Sweet.
Base
Steal
it off
their
that.
ideas.
yeah, I could steal ideas. So science, I'm team science.
Team science. Ace.
I'll just ask Dan
I
for
feel like
tips.
both of these could be fascinating. As soon as I pulled that from the hat, from the Poetic Pint Glass, I was also thinking about experimental words because that was a blast. I wrote a really trippy poem about where the sky ends that was 11 minutes long and just weird, but
Freddie
I had
tried
so
to
much
set
fun
the
doing
storytelling center on fire. That was exciting.
He did.
Freddie
We had
Alexander,
so many
absolute
fire
lunatic.
drills. They were not happy with him. It was
my
great. He lit a Burns poem on fire on the stage. It was truly beautiful. So yeah, I think I'll be neutral in this, but I think either one could yield really, really interesting options. So viewers, we don't get to decide, you guys get to decide. And the way that you vote, you can comment down below, Team Science or Team Tenses. You can vote in our
We just go team
Instagram poll.
tense.
I was going to say,
really
could it be
want the
team
poll to say
tense? Because
science and tense.
I just
a
want to
single
be
word.
part of team tense, just to be like,
Team Tense. We need yoga. You can also vote in our Instagram poll and on our Twitter poll. And yeah, I am very excited to see because either of these could be great. Whichever challenge you guys choose, I will be coming up with my 5 top tips. That'll be coming out next Friday. Don't know what we'll be talking about.
Katie's hoping you pick science.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to read some weird critical theory books about playing with tense in literature, and that's not a road I want to go down.
I flipped my choice then. I'm voting team tense. I'm team tense.
Really?
Yeah, I flipped.
Really?
Just to see you have to work.
I know where you sleep. So everyone, thank you for watching Loud Poets Happy Hour.
the real monster was Katie all along.
It was Katie all along.
If you have stuck with this episode until this point, you're a brave soul. We salute you. Thank you for watching the show. Genuinely, guys, we hope that you're having as much fun with this as we are, because we're having a ball. And if you're ready along with us,
Oh, she's going to be sad that that's butchered her outro.
I know.
I'm going to steal it from her. Guys, we've loved having you along for the ride. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, do all that. See, I knew she'd come back sad.
Hit that like button, hit subscribe, ring that bell icon, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Everyone, please say cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for joining us for Happy Hour. If you enjoyed the show, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell icon so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you want to take it one step further, consider signing up to our Patreon. For as little as £1 a month, you get to submit challenges to the Poetic Pint Glass of Poetic Challenges, and you get lots of other fantastic perks. Thank you so much, guys.